Happy Final Score Friday, everybody. Welcome into the final edition of Morning Jocks for the week. As Conrad Van Order, Damian Mitchell, we are here with you each and every morning at 6 a.m., getting you jump-started on your day with everything you need to know around the college football world. And congratulations, we made it to another Friday, which means another fantastic weekend of college football, which technically got started on Wednesday, but of course, a lot of the main attractions, as we know, coming up tomorrow. So we have a ton of games to get into. We're going to give you our picks for the weekend. Of course, we love to do that each and every Friday right here on the show. But with it being Final Score Friday, that means we want you to be involved as well. So 205-834-9450. This is how we like to start off all of our Friday shows on the Courtesy GMC text line. So you text that number, you tell us what you think the final score is going to be, whether it's Alabama, Missouri, Auburn and Georgia, Oregon and Indiana. I don't know. Maybe you're a big Wazoo fan and you think they're about to go and put some whipping on Lane Kiffin and the Ole Miss Rebels. I don't know. I don't think that's going to happen.
No, like of all the upsets that you could have chosen.
Well, I'm just saying, like even the more outlandish ones, right? Like if you, if you feel a certain type of way about it, we'd love to hear from you on the text line. Again, 205-834-9450 and say it with your chest, right? Whatever you're feeling. We had somebody yesterday that predicted Alabama to lose to Missouri 86-12. So it was a joke, but
I hope so.
I mean, it could happen.
Right, but if we thought that the buyout number conversation was loud during week 1, 86-12, I actually think that could happen.
Yeah, that wouldn't sit well, I think, with the Alabama fan base. So we'll have an interesting show on Monday nonetheless if Alabama loses 86-12 to Missouri. But hey, if that is you've stewed on it all week long and that's the number that came back to you, then whatever, text it in to us. We'd love to hear from it. However outlandish, whatever games you want to pick, we would love to hear from you on this Final Score Friday. So we have to start, though, with some things that happened last night before we fully dive into tomorrow's slate of college football action. And there's no really easy way around it. Last night was just a bad night if you are a Philadelphia sports fan, to put it simply enough. So we'll get to Thursday Night Football in just a second. But before that game wrapped up last night there on Amazon Prime, you had a little thing going on called the NLDS, where you had the Dodgers taking on the Phillies, and an opportunity for the Phillies to keep their season alive, force a Game 5 there with the Dodgers. And it was a tight game, right? It was 1-1 going into extra innings, and you get to the 11th inning, and the Dodgers are up to bat. There's an opportunity for them to win the game with 2 outs. And unfortunately, if you're a Phillies fan, that's when disaster had to strike for you. So you get a little grounder back to the pitcher, which, I mean, it wasn't the easiest ball in the world to field. But you're in extra innings, 2 outs. All you got to do, get the guy out at first base, and disaster struck for the Phillies last night. This is the way that it sounded on the broadcast.
Strike. Pajes breaks his bat. Kirkering got to find it. Throws to the plate. Oh, my goodness. He throws it away. And the Dodgers have won. The Dodgers win.
So the Dodgers went on a walk-off error by, as you heard it right there on the call, Orion Kirkering, the relief pitcher there for the Phillies. So again, as I said, he got a little grounder back to the pitcher's mound. All he had to do, there's 2 outs. All you got to do, throw it to first base. Boom. I mean, I guess he could have made a bad throw to first as well, but I mean, pretty routine play for a pitcher. And we're going on to the 12th inning, right? But instead, he tries to force it, tries to go home, get the lead runner out there after he bobbled the comebacker, and that was all she wrote. So that was kind of a precursor for things to come, I think, for Philadelphia fans last night. So you get eliminated from the postseason. The Dodgers, they're now going to go on to the NLCS for the 8th time in the last 13 years. And the Philadelphia Phillies are going to join my New York Yankees in Cancun this weekend.
I do have a quick question.
Yeah.
Not saying that you are, because I know you're not. But if you're a Braves fan, are you happy that the Phillies lost? Are you kind of feeling some type of way because you get to see Freddie Freeman potentially get a advance to win a World Series again.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's one of those cases where it was going to be a win-win, right? Whoever lost the series, because Braves fans don't like either of them. But yeah, I mean, I think you're happy to see the Phillies get eliminated. It makes you feel a little bit better. But now, right, going into the NLCS where it'll be Dodgers and then either Cubs or Brewers. You're definitely not rooting for the Dodgers in that one.
No.
So it's like, all right, you took care of the Phillies, and now let's take care of the Dodgers. I
was just wondering where the hate lies.
No, and look, that'd be a better question for Landrum than me, but I think that's kind of where their hearts lie right now. So that was a bad start to the night if you're a Philadelphia sports fan. But the good news was, right, hey, the Eagles, we lost last week, but we got a chip on our shoulder now. We're a little motivated, and we're playing the Giants, man. The Giants suck. They're starting this rookie quarterback. Oh, it's going to be a great night. Sorry for the Phillies, but hey, Eagles, we're back on track, baby. Well, not so fast, because that is not how it would play out last night. So great first half of the game. Giants were up 20-17, back and forth. Like Jackson Dart's looking good, Scadaboo's looking good. AJ Brown's catching some passes, things that we don't really see a whole lot this season. And then you come out in the second half, and all the Giants do is outscore the Eagles 14-0, shut out the defending Super Bowl champions there in the second half. The big moment came in the fourth quarter where the Eagles are driving in the red zone. Jalen Hurts throws an interception. Big return there by the Giants, which led to Cam Scadaboo, his third touchdown of the night. So he was absolutely on fire. And at that point, the Giants went up 17, and that was kind of all that she wrote. But you can't say enough. Jackson Dart and Cam Scadaboo absolutely fantastic last night for the Giants. So Jackson Dart, he goes for 195 yards through the air, added 58 rushing yards, had one passing and one rushing touchdown, and no turnovers there for the Giants. And then Cam Scadaboo, the big hero last night, 19 carries for 98 yards and 3 touchdowns there for the Giants. So a couple of rookies leading them to victory over the defending Super Bowl champions. That's an impressive win. It just is.
To me, and I wonder if you feel the same way. Offensively for the Giants, this may sound crazy, but aren't they just weird? Like, isn't it just a weird setup how you didn't have your number one target in Malik Neighbors, he's been injured. Darius Slayton was out. And Wan'Dale Robinson and Lil Jordan Humphrey end up being like your go-to receivers.
And Wan'Dale Robinson looked good. Really good.
The fact that he had Will Levis throwing to him in college still is a very strange dynamic. But then you have Jackson Dart and Cam Scadaboo. It's just the identities and the personalities of the New York Giants.
Oh, it's weird, yeah.
It's just a weird dynamic. Like, I'm so used to them just kind of old school, like very blue-collar-ish to an extent. But then when I look at their roster, and I'm just kind of, this team is just different. They're just different. And I think Jackson Dart, he gives them a different swagger. And if you saw when Russell Wilson came in, and the brother had one pass and was booed to oblivion.
Yeah.
And then Brian Daboll's on the sideline losing his mind of like, what is going on with Jackson Dart? I am not going to deal with Russell Wilson being my quarterback again.
So after the first his first touchdown was that rushing touchdown for Jackson Dart last night. And I just remember after he scored that first touchdown and they showed a video or a view of Jackson Dart running to the sideline and Brian Dable coming up and hugging him. I'm not kidding. Like, he looked at Jackson Dart like that was his son who was stepping onto an NFL. Like, the way that that's how, if you're married, like, that's how you hope that your wife looks at you on, like, your birthday, like, on the best day of the year. Because you could tell it was like, you may have saved my job. Like, just the way that he looks at him is like, yes. Oh my God, yes. Like, I love you so much. You are like the lifeblood of this franchise. It's very cool to see, but it is funny. It's like, yeah, he's very grateful that he gets to work with Jackson Dart and not Russell Wilson
like Russ,
right now.
And I don't necessarily feel bad for Russ just because I've always thought he was
he's corny.
Yeah, he's just a corny dude.
Yeah.
And I just didn't expect. I kind of thought Denver was a one-off. It's just kind of, wasn't a perfect marriage.
Mm-hmm.
Pittsburgh was okay. Like, it's just kind of.
He was better in Pittsburgh than
yeah,
he was
you just
in
fit in. Like, it's just, all right, well, they can win with you. They can win without you. It's just kind of more of the Steelers thing. But I thought it was going to work in New York. I didn't know that it really was Russell Wilson, that he's just not that good anymore. Like he went down a hill. He went downhill fast. Where it's, man, there's actually a lot of teams that wouldn't want you on their roster. Like now, I'm starting to see that it really is you. You are the problem.
Well, when you make your teammates set up meetings to talk to you as the quarterback, and you have like essentially a secretary for your teammates to
Yeah,
coordinate times to speak with you, I would say that's probably
yeah.
not gonna work out particularly well.
And they still have Jameis Winston out there too. It's just a unique. It's just a unique roster setup.
It's a very interesting, yeah,
And that quarterback room, it's insane.
some different personalities, to say the least there. But massive win for the Giants. They're now 2-4 in the season. The Eagles now lost back-to-back games, and that offense continues to not look great. And I think part of it too is Saquon. Saquon hasn't been the same guy that he was last year. They haven't been able to run the ball as well. AJ Brown and Jalen Hurts hate each other, so it's just been kind of a unique situation there for the Eagles. But they get a big win last night for the New York Giants, no doubt about it. Quickly, though, you did also have some college football action going on last night. So the big one here in the state, how about a 52-yard game-winning field goal for Jacksonville State last night as they take down Sam Houston 29-27. So Garrison Ripa there with the game winner for the Gamecocks as they now move to 3-3 on the season, undefeated 2-0 in conference play. So a good sign there for JSU. Sam Houston, they are still winless. Sorry, the exact opposite of undefeated. They are winless. They're 0-6 on the year so far. So a rough start for them. You had Kennesaw State. They crushed Louisiana Tech last night, 35-7. Tulane, they take care of business against East Carolina. So Tulane, they now move to 5-1. That one loss, of course, coming to Ole Miss earlier in the year, but they win 26-19 last night. And then Southern Miss getting the big win, 38-35 over Georgia Southern. So that was your 4 games of college football action that you had going on last night. So that's everything that you may have missed, everything looking in the rear view mirror from last night's football action. Really solid night of football overall. But that just means it's time for us to turn our attention to what's going on this weekend. Everything you need to know, Alabama and Missouri, Auburn and Georgia. Will give you all the details, all the latest on those 2 big matchups right here in state next on JOX. Welcome back into Morning Jocks here on your Friday morning. Connor and Damien here with you, getting you set for week 7 of the college football season. And it is a Final Score Friday here on the show. So, of course, we love to get your input. 205-834-9450 there on the Courtesy GMC text line. What are your final score predictions for the weekend? Whatever games, whether it's Alabama, Auburn, Florida, Texas A&M, whoever it is, we would love to hear from you. Washington State fans, again, I'm just maybe there's one.
I doubt it.
Maybe there's one.
I doubt it.
Maybe there's one.
No. Maybe, if Trinidad Chambliss gets sick and Austin Simmons gets sick, Lane Kiffin gets sick, Charlie Weiss Jr. gets sick, the whole offensive line gets sick. That's not happening. Washington State is not pulling off the upset. They're just not.
This text rolls in, says Washington State 28, Ole Miss 24.
That's not happening. Not even.
I'm just kidding. I made that up.
No, I'm about to say there's not an ounce of belief in that. Not a single ounce.
Well, maybe there's some belief in this one. This text rolls in from Jamie. He goes, Alabama 31, Mizzou 17,
Hey.
Georgia 28, Auburn 21, and Oregon 45, Indiana 17.
Dang. It's still funny how Indiana has improved. But
I think they're better than last year.
Yeah, but they're still just they're not. They're not on Oregon's level just yet.
I would just say this: if that is the final score, something along those lines, like 45-17, Oregon, Indiana, what does that tell you about Illinois?
They stink.
It's like if we do the transitive property, if Indiana gets beat by somebody by 50 and they beat Illinois by 50, it's just saying.
That means Oregon's winning the national championship, or at least that's how. That's the equation, right?
I will believe it when I see that happen. Because Oregon's a great football program, but eventually, never.
We got to see it.
I'm not going down that path with them today, but appreciate all of you chiming in with your score predictions. We'll get to more of them, of course, as we move on throughout the show. But it is our due diligence here on this show. We want you to be ready. We get it, right? You're walking into work today. You got people, they want to talk. They're asking your opinion. What do you think the score is going to be? What do you think is going to happen? And we want you to be as prepared as possible for the games that are going to come up tomorrow, particularly for Alabama and Auburn. So the latest updates on both of those matchups, what you need to know going in if you're an Alabama or an Auburn fan for tomorrow. The good news is, as we talked about yesterday, so Ryan Williams for Alabama, he was listed on the availability report on Wednesday night, but he was listed as probable. The good news is that people around the program have now started to report, reports have started to come out that he is expected to play tomorrow. So it's not expected to be anything serious there with Ryan Williams. So the good news is he is still probable, I guess, is his designation. But if you're an Alabama fan, don't worry, Ryan Williams, barring some shocking change here in the next 24 hours, he will be available. He will be suited up tomorrow against Missouri. Now, Jalen Mbakwe, again, probably not somebody that you're going to see in the game unless, again, there's other injuries or, things really just kind of got out of hand and you were able to get some guys extra reps. But he is now listed as out. He was questionable yesterday on the injury report. So not totally sure what's going on with him, but he is now listed as out. So he will be unavailable. Ryan Williams, the only other injury designation there for the Tide that you didn't already know about. Now, on the Missouri side of things, how about this? So they've been without their left tackle, Caden Green, for the last couple of games. But this is a guy that, he was a preseason All-American, one of the best offensive linemen in the entire country. He's still battling back with a lower body injury, and he's still listed as questionable. So we will see. Obviously, him coming back would be big for Missouri, but he has missed the last couple of weeks. So we'll see if he continues to be out and maybe an opportunity for the Alabama defense to put a little pressure on Mr. Pribula tomorrow morning. Now let's look at the Auburn side of things. Great news for Auburn on the injury front. You don't really have any. Outside of what you've already been dealing with, a guy like Horatio Fields with a broken foot, and then Darrell Robinson with his leg injury as well. That's it. Everything else is crystal clear heading into this game tomorrow night against the Georgia Bulldogs. And on the other side of this, right, if you were to say who's winning the injury battle, it's certainly Auburn because they're pretty healthy, and Georgia dealing with Some injuries that we told you about yesterday, but the big thing there for Georgia is 2 of their tackles are both going to be questionable for Saturday, and Monroe Freeling and Ernest Green the third. So if I remember correctly, so Ernest Green, he was out for the Alabama game, and I'm trying to remember about Freeling if he was also one of the guys that was banged up in that game as well. But as we know, the strength for Auburn this year has been the defense, particularly up front. So Auburn's strength, Georgia's a little banged up.
So you're telling me there's a chance, Conrad?
I'm just saying I think you can see where there is some room for Auburn to make a little noise defensively, make Gunnar Stockton's life not very fun tomorrow.
Yeah, I think this game is going to be extremely physical. And really and truly, I think both games in Alabama, Missouri, and also Auburn, Georgia, because of the fact that Missouri, they're through the 5 games that they've played, they've established that, yeah, we may miss Cody Schrader at times, but Ahmad Hardy stepping on in, he's done exceptionally well. Now, the quality of competition may be still in question, but I do think that on both sides of the ball, it's going to be won or lost in the trenches, especially for Auburn, because your defensive line and your defense has been keeping you within a puncher's chance of winning, the 2 games that you have lost. It's just the offense has to find it. And I think being back at home in Jordan-Hare does make a difference for everybody. And, again, it has to be Hugh Freeze making the decision that we are going to stick with a game plan. We're going to stick with running the football. Don't get behind the chains. I mean, he's talked about these things, but at some point we have to see it before you start getting into that Texas A&M category of, we know we kind of figured y'all be pretty good, but there's still kind of that blow it factor in it. Kind of similar with Auburn right now. It's you have all the pieces now. You can't say you're derived of talent. It's how do we get this talent to work efficiently and effectively for not against, just the Ball States and the Baylors of the world, but the Texas A&Ms, the Oklahomas, and now the Georgias. So you're going to have to just go out there and do it.
It just feels like this is a very, very important game for Auburn. And obviously, it's the Auburn-Georgia, and I get that. But the difference, I think, in how you would feel about being 3-3, you're 0-3 in the SEC, versus 4-2, you're 1-2 in the conference, you have a top 10 victory under your belt. That just feels like a massive difference for the Auburn fan base and for Hugh Freeze, for the players, for everybody involved with the Auburn family. It feels like this is a massive opportunity, and heaven forbid you lose to Georgia. And look, I subscribe to this a little bit, right? I think a lot of it is how does it look, right? Do you lose on a last-second field goal to Georgia? Okay, that's going to sting really bad, and people are going to be upset of, okay, why are we getting so close, but we can't get over that hurdle? But I think you still walk away saying, okay, we've maybe fixed some things in the bye week. You can have some optimism moving forward. Now, if it's, like the Kentucky score from last week with Georgia, I think people start to get really worried, but it just feels like this game against Georgia and the next week having to play Missouri as well, just a really big time right now for Auburn, and a very important time to get a very important win that could change a lot of things, not only for the fan base, but for Hugh Freeze and his future. So
yeah, like you lose this game, this could get ugly.
Yeah.
And you have too much talent for it to be the way that it is. Because, last season we're talking about, you're one play away here, one play away there. And it's kind of doubled this year where through 2 teams that you seem as though that you should be in the conversation with, you still lose to them. And I just think at some point you can't continue to keep talking about close losses. These have to turn into wins, because
you're right.
How many more years can you just say, oh, we're close.
So you can't sell a fan base on we're almost there
3 years in.
Yeah.
Right. And you flip, and again, the way that college football is now, you're able to flip rosters rather quickly. So when you see these other teams kind of, have those flashes in the pan, or they turn their, one season into a different one the next year, and yet you're still kind of having the same woes and the same lulls, it does get frustrating. And at some point, you have to get over the hurdle. And I'm kind of somewhat with you as well when you say if you lose close to Georgia, then you kind of still feel okay-ish, but they have at some point they got to turn into wins. Like, okay, a win against Kentucky, great, but you have to beat the likes of Texas A&M, the Georgias, the Oklahomas, to be taken seriously as a true contender. Because again, on paper, it's hard not to say that these teams don't match up extremely well with each other. Like Auburn has some advantages, and it's how do you maximize those? Because now it's you've got the players, you've got the dudes, you just got to make it work.
Well, tomorrow would be a great time for them to find a way to make it work, wouldn't it? As Auburn will welcome the Georgia Bulldogs down to Jordan-Hare Stadium. 6:30 kickoff there on ABC, and of course you'll be able to hear it here on JOX as well. Finally, the last injury news, John Mateer upgraded to probable there, so not a big surprise, but looks like he's closer to playing tomorrow for Oklahoma as they will take on Texas, but we will just have to wait and see. But I think we all knew all along that he was probably it was going to be difficult for him to stay off that field tomorrow. So that's good news if you are an Oklahoma Sooners fan. But it's time for our favorite segment of the week. You already know what it is. It's time. You're going to hear the music when we come back. It is time for us to make our picks. So I picked out 6 games, the 6 biggest matchups on the schedule for us this week. And me and Damon, we're going to share our picks with you next on Morning Jocks. 6:32. Welcome back into Morning Jocks. Conrad and Damian with you here on your Friday morning. And of course, we always appreciate you making us a part of your morning each and every day right here on Jocks. So you hear the music, you hear Lil Wayne and T-Pain, and you know exactly what that means here on the show. That means it's time for us to make our picks for the week, as Damian and I are going to go through 6 games coming up around the SEC and maybe take a look around the rest of the country as well, because we love the SEC here, but there are other good games going on in other conferences. So let's get the ball rolling, Damian. So I've laid out 6 games for us here. We will save Alabama and Auburn for the end, as we typically do. Well, let's start off then with a game we were just discussing before the break. That would be Oklahoma and Texas. So if you missed the news there in the last segment, John Mateer upgraded to probable now. So looks like he's going to at least attempt to give it a go tomorrow against Texas. So this has been kind of a wonky one. It seems like some things have been corrected here, but now as it stands, what I'm looking at right now, Texas is a 1.5-point favorite in this game. The total is 45.5. But you've got a Texas team coming off that loss to Florida, obviously. Oklahoma, big win over Kent State, so no one's really going to put any stock in that. Michael Hawkins not seemingly inspiring a bunch of confidence in Sooners fans. So for you, Damian, right now, how do you feel about this Oklahoma and Texas matchup?
If John Mateer plays, you can almost make it a 99.9% lock that Oklahoma's going to win. If he doesn't, that number goes to 51%.
It's a big swing right there.
Yeah, I still feel as though Oklahoma defensively can absolutely dismantle Texas. Like, I just don't know if, from what I've seen so far with Texas, I can't confidently say that Arch Manning is going to figure it out against this defense. I think it's going to be a close one regardless. If John Mateer plays, Oklahoma absolutely, it's no doubt that they're going to win. It may still be 14-3, but I still think they find a way to win. Now, if he doesn't play, this game could be, 7-6, and I'd still lean Oklahoma. Either way it goes, I think Oklahoma wins it. Depending on which quarterback plays, kind of determines what I think the final score would be. So if John Mateer plays, give me Oklahoma 24-7. If he doesn't play, give me Oklahoma 14-10.
I thought you were going to say 10-7.
And it's, I think they'll muster up at least one, because Michael Hawkins Jr. can't run.
Yeah, he can. No, I'm with you. I certainly feel a lot better if John Mateer plays. I feel like he's going to play, just knowing the kind of guy that he's going to play in this football game, right? Like, he knows it's a rivalry game. He's probably been licking his chops waiting for this opportunity. So yeah, I would expect John Mateer to be out there. So yeah, I like Boomer Sooner. I think they're the better team, and I think defensively, right, even if they have to go with Hawkins, they'll have an advantage there, because that Texas defense looked like Swiss cheese last week against the Florida Gators. All right, let's move on. Speaking of the Florida Gators, they're going to take on the Texas A&M Aggies down there in College Station. This one a little interesting. A&M a 7.5-point favorite, 47.5 the total there. And I'll be honest, look, I would love to see Florida go down there and pull off an upset, make it a competitive game, a one-score game, even in a loss, that type of thing. I hope it's a fantastic game. My question is, can Florida do that 2 weeks in a row, right? Because they were coming off of a bye week. You're able to get some guys healthy. You got Dallas Wilson into the game plan for the first time this year. And I think Florida's better, right? I think they're headed in the right direction, but I think Texas A&M looks really, really good right now. I'm going to have to go with the Aggies in this one. And I hope Florida proves me wrong, but 2 weeks in a row is going to be tough to do for them.
I'm with you. I think Texas A&M, I think they take off the belt.
You think it's one of those games?
Yeah,
Oh.
I think we're going to know rather quickly that
Florida, like what we were looking at last week with Mississippi State, kind of?
Essentially.
Yeah.
But I don't think it'll be as competitive for as long. I honestly think Texas A&M.
You don't think it's going to be 3-0 at the end of the first quarter?
I do not.
No.
I think Texas A&M rolls them. I really do. DJ Lagway, it was great while he was at home. I understand why he had a different look in his eye.
We had a good run.
He wasn't in Death Valley anymore. He was back in the confines of the swamp.
Mm-hmm.
And it just, everything just kind of snowballed into a great game. I do not see that happening Saturday. I think Texas A&M at home, I think they put belt to ass. I think it's ugly. More than 2 scores.
Whew, that would be quite a win there for the Texas A&M Aggies, who, again, are number 5 in the country. All right, another SEC matchup, the late game on the SEC Network. You'll have this one going on at the same time in Georgia and Auburn, and I guess Florida, Texas A&M as well will still be going on as well. South Carolina at LSU, maybe a bit of a revenge game for the Gamecocks because last year, you had the pick 6 that got overturned. That kind of won the game for LSU in a lot of ways. That win would have put South Carolina in the play. Like, there's a lot of factors in that game last year. On top of that was just a damn good football game last year. But now we've got a different look LSU team, right? Can't run the football. Nussmeier looks hurt, but the defense has been a lot better. Similarly for South Carolina, not living up to the expectations early in the year, but Sellers working his way back, right? Showing some of the things about why so many people think he'll be a first-round pick in next year's draft at quarterback. But LSU, a 9.5-point favorite in this one at home. It's a night game in Death Valley. 44.5 is the total. I think LSU will win this game, but 9.5, I think I'm going to take South Carolina in the points in that one just because I really haven't been impressed by LSU offensively speaking, and I think South Carolina is good enough to, again, go in there and make it interesting, but it being a night game in Death Valley, I'd give the lean to LSU, but tell me they got to win by 10 points? No. I'm not there yet.
Man, the it's just so I go back and forth because of what the last thing I saw LSU do. And it's right when, okay, they should be able to figure it all out.
I want to believe that one week they're just going to roll out there in SEC play and score 45 and we're going to go, all right, there they are.
Exactly.
But I don't think that's coming.
Nah, me either, man. The Cox are too hard, man. They're just a hard team to kind of just pinpoint because, again, if Lenore Sellers is clicking on all cylinders, then this game could look completely differently than what I would think it could potentially look like. But I think LSU goes out and in a ugly or not so pretty way, I think they cover. I do. I think it's kind of one of those late things where they mess around and get 10 to 14 on the scoreboard as far as separating in the points. So just off of pure optimism, I guess you'd say, for LSU, I think LSU handles their business in Death Valley.
How long you had that one in your back pocket?
I was trying to find a way to work it in.
Mm-hmm.
No pun intended.
There it is.
Well, are they not hard?
Let's go outside of SEC country because there is a top 10 matchup going on in the Big Ten, and it's going to be taking place there in Eugene, Oregon, as the Ducks are going to host Indiana. So number 7, Indiana, number 3, Oregon. Oregon, a 7.5-point favorite at home, 53.5 the total. And again, this is going to be one of those, I'll happily be wrong. Oregon looks really, really good. I know the Penn State win doesn't look as impressive now, but again, the circumstances of that game, I think that's still a good win. Just not as impressive as we thought it was at the time, and that's fair to say. But Oregon, I think they're the better team. I really like Indiana. I think they're better than they were last year, but I'm going to need to see them go on the road against a top 10 team before I totally buy into that. So give me Oregon at home. I like the Ducks to cover. I think they win by 10 to 14.
I'm with you. I think Oregon handles them rather quickly. I think they jump on them. And Indiana, I'm with you. They're better than they were last year, but still there's a separation between the top and getting to the top. So I think Indiana, while they have improved, I still think Oregon is the team to beat in the Big Ten, and Indiana's just in the way. Give me Oregon big.
There we go. We both like the Ducks over the Hoosiers coming up tomorrow afternoon. All right, so we still have Alabama and Auburn left to get to. So those are our predictions, our picks for the first 4 games we wanted to discuss here. So we had Florida and Texas A&M. We both like Texas A&M in that matchup. We both like Oklahoma over Texas in Red River. Damian and I both liking South Carolina to cover against LSU, but LSU to win that matchup, and we both think the Ducks are going to roll over the Indiana Hoosiers. So we have to give you our picks, Auburn and Georgia, Alabama and Mizzou. That's all coming up next as we get to your final score predictions as well on Morning JOX.
6:47 here on Morning Jocks. Damian Mitchell, Conrad Van Order here with you for a few more moments on this Final Score Friday. As you heard, we gave you a few picks to start the weekend, but of course we
I don't think that was people's main takeaway from that last segment.
No. If you look at the Courtesy GMC text line, 205-834-9450, it just goes back to show you that people hear what they want to hear. Because I don't know if they a lot of people picked up on some of the things that were said. I thought they were caught up on the picks, but had some other things on their mind. But we have to get to Alabama and Missouri and also Auburn and Georgia. Deep South's oldest rivalry. I feel like people are kind of they're sleeping on it, man.
Well, see, it's like we had Rob Pate on three-man front yesterday. Oh, excuse me, I feel like I'm about to sneeze again. But we had Rob Pate on three-man front yesterday, and I mean, former Auburn defensive back, and a great member of the Auburn family, and just casually, how optimistic do you feel going into this game? He said, "Man, I haven't felt good about this game in 2 decades." It's like, well, that's. I think that's where a lot of Auburn fans are at, but it does feel like this sets up not only because it's a big opportunity for Auburn, but as you've mentioned, right? What's a problem for Auburn? Don't have a great offensive line, had trouble protecting the quarterback, but Georgia's not very good at getting after the quarterback, right? So your biggest concern maybe offensively, that doesn't play to Georgia's strengths. Similarly, I think both secondaries are a little bit susceptible. I think Auburn has the better wide receivers. Now, can Jackson Arnold get the ball to those receivers and make the right decisions? That's another question. But you can see where, again, Auburn commits to the run a little bit. You target Cam Coleman 15 times on Saturday. Like, you can see where something could work here for the Auburn Tigers. So Auburn or Georgia, they're a 3.5-point favorite on the road in Jordan-Hare Stadium. I think Auburn's going to be competitive. I think they're going to come out and they're certainly going to look better than they did against Texas A&M. However, it is hard for me to buy into. I don't know if I believe that they're going to come out like Florida did against Texas last week, right? Where their offense looked really, really rough. They had a bye week. They got it all corrected, and they went out there and beat a top 10 team. Now, Auburn could absolutely do that, similar to last week, right? They're playing at home. Feels like Georgia's maybe a little gettable right now. I really do think Auburn has a chance in this game. But again, I'm rolling with Kirby right now. They've gotten the better of Auburn for a long time now. I think they are the better team overall. And I'll believe in this Auburn team when I see Jackson Arnold make some significant improvements in that offense, put some points on the board. So maybe that'll be tomorrow. But right now, I'm going to roll with Georgia to cover the 3.5. I think they win by a touchdown.
I'm with you. It's just it's hard to think that it's going to work itself out this weekend. Had it been, Kentucky, had it been maybe even Missouri, I could have a conversation with you. But I don't feel like you get everything corrected even in the bye week against Georgia on the other side. Until it happens, it's just hard for me to think that with the competition that you're going to be facing.
Make us believe, right? Let us see it.
If I had seen it before, I would really put some more chips behind them. Yeah. But right now, I think Georgia comes in because Gunnar Stockton, I mean, he's gone to kneeling. Like he's faced Alabama. Like he's been battle tested for real, and he's come out, on the winning side on one end, falls a little bit short against Alabama. But I think that he's made the throws. Excuse me. If Auburn makes him one-dimensional and make him have to throw it all over the yard, he still feels though he's confident and he's polished enough to go out there and just give his playmakers a chance to make the plays. So I think that it'll be a physical matchup, but I think Georgia wins a close one. I think they cover that 3.5.
All right, now we have Alabama at Missouri. That's going to be your 11 a.m. kickoff tomorrow. So that could be good, right? Because if you're an Alabama fan and you win, you're going to have a great day. On the flip side, if you lose, it's going to ruin your entire day. But that's the magic of an 11 a.m. kickoff, right? So Alabama, as it stands right now, at what I'm looking at, 2.5-point favorite against Missouri. I love that it's under 3 points now. I'm going to roll with Alabama in this one. I think it's going to be a close game. I do think Missouri's really good. But, just talking about the game throughout the week, right, it feels like we've had this situation with Missouri the last couple of years now, right, where they get a lot of hype, and they've been really, really good. But then when they have those big opportunities to make a big statement win, go back to Texas A&M game last year early on, and they got smoked. It just feels like it's going to be a very difficult challenge. Now, can they beat Alabama? They absolutely can. If Alabama does not bring their A game, then Missouri has more than enough firepower to go out there and embarrass the Tide tomorrow. There's no doubt about that. But if Alabama plays their best game, they're just a better team than Missouri. And I think Ahmad Hardy, he's going to have himself a big day. But if you're able to hold him to, I would say, 120 or less on the ground, you're going to be really happy with what you did as an Alabama defense. And that'll pave the path to victory. So I like Alabama. I think they win this one. I'm going to go 31-21 tomorrow. I think Alabama maybe tight early, but maybe a late touchdown like last week makes it look a little better in the box score.
I think this will be a 4-quarter ball game. I think Missouri will have a chance to win it on the final drive of the game, but I don't think they get it done. I do think Ahmad Hardy is going to show why he has been looked at as one of the best backs, not just in the conference, but in the nation. Because I do think that Alabama struggles in stopping the run. And that's something that Missouri's going to hang their hat on and prove that Alabama's going to have to prove that they can stop it. That's all it comes down to. I think this is going to be an absolute slugfest both ways. But the difference maker is what I've seen at the quarterback position from Alabama, Ty Simpson. If he is locked in, it is going to be difficult for Missouri to find a way to stop him because of what he's been able to do in big-time moments and big-time games. So I think the X factor is going to be Ty Simpson in his arm, and I think that's what's going to give Alabama the win on Saturday.
So there you go. Me and Damian, we both like Alabama. Going to be a competitive game in both of our opinions, but we like them to pull out close ones against Missouri, and then we both have Georgia taking out the Auburn Tigers as well. So let's wrap it up with a couple of your score predictions on the Courtesy GMC text line, like Don, who chimes in. He says he's heading down to Auburn this afternoon for the game. His prediction, he says Missouri's going to upset Alabama 35-34 on a last-second touchdown. All right, that'd be quite thrilling. He then says Toomer's Corner explodes with Georgia and Auburn fans celebrating. And then after that, Auburn wins 24-20 WDE, baby. So he's got Missouri upsetting Alabama 35-34, and he's got Auburn beating Georgia 24-20. Let's see. Bama Hater said, what's the chance Conrad will pick against Alabama? Well, I didn't. Sorry to burst your bubble there on that one. Someone texted and says, wow, y'all gave such bold predictions. They're not bold predictions. They are who we think is going to win.
Right. It didn't have to be bold.
They're not bold. It's just who we think is going to win the games. Let's see. This one comes in from Bama Abroad. He says, tomorrow is my 4th annual college football party. Going to show some Brits what real football looks like. Drink a bunch of Kurs. Eat some chili and buffalo chicken dip. The Tide's going to pull it off 35-31. And then the Fighting Illini will upset Ohio State in Champaign-Urbana. And to cap it all off, Auburn loses to fall to 3-3 against the Georgia Bulldogs. I like it. This guy's an Alabama fan. He texted in from Britain, but he's also an Illinois fan. College football, man. It's a beautiful thing, isn't it?
It is.
We appreciate all the interaction this morning, all the final score predictions. Sorry we didn't get to all of them. We're back Monday at